Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Monday Night Raw and your Superstars spoilers for this week, and some WWE news concerning Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson announcing that he will be undergoing surgery. He put by saying, "Saw my doctor who had pushed my intestines back through the tear in my abdomen," and he wrote, "Kinda romantic. Surgery is next. Hashtag bring it on." Follow him on Twitter at twitter.com, The Rock. And he also noted last week that there were 5 weeks until the shooting of Hercules begins. I assume he will be recovered from the surgery in time for the shoot, but it will make training for the role difficult. One also has to wonder whether the injury will make him think twice about getting back in the ring again. And he was asked in an interview with Peter Rosenberg whether WrestleMania 29 was his final match. And he said possibly. The goal 3 years ago was, and he sat down with Vince McMahon and strategized about it and talked about 3 WrestleManias back to back to back, boom, 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 and building to this. I committed myself to the company. I was very proud of that moment. It didn't matter if I lost or did the job or not. It was an honor to do the honors, and in wrestling world, there is no better way to give back to the business than to do the honors. I know there are a lot of fans who say it shouldn't have been done, or it should have been done to been someone else. That's not for me to say. And Rock was asked again whether it was his last match. He says possibly. I'm really not sure, and wouldn't rule it out. The plan is that this whole time was to go to Miami and then create the biggest show of all time in the biggest market of all time in New York. Rock was asked whether there were plans for a rubber match between him and Cena. The original plan was possibly Brock Lesnar and myself. As Rock said, that was the next thing that made sense to me because I love Rock, and we've been friends for over a decade now. And we could have had a great athletic match, so that was the plan. But then, when I tore my 2 tendons off my pelvis, then I had to fly home that day. We couldn't do what we wanted to do at Raw that day, so possibly with Brock down the road. Brock also addressed reports that he did not speak to Vince McMahon before leaving New York or New Jersey to be treated by a doctor in Miami. That's so false, he said. I talked to Vince that night when I was hurt that night. Vince McMahon came to my locker room at WrestleMania. Vince and Triple H, by the way, and John Cena came, and CM Punk came. It's easier and more salacious and more entertaining if Rock just left. That's now how I do business, by the way. Listen to the full interview at youtube.com/watch, V equals capital R, capital G, capital N, little g, big A, 3, little g, little x, little r, little I, big M. Rock said he was attended to by WWE personnel backstage that night, and they did a hernia check. They said he and Vince agreed that after WrestleMania 29 that he would not appear at Raw on the next show that night. So that clears up that situation. It's odd that the creative staff was reportedly left in the dark until Monday afternoon. But if that's true, then it's on Vince and not The Rock. As for possibly having worked his final match, I'm an advocate of leaving that hanging publicly, as it would create a big surprise moment if he does return. That being said, his return likely hinges upon his health and desire to return to the ring. So the possibly line probably has more to do with his mindset than keeping viewers in suspense. The SmackDown crew is in Cardiff, Wales at Cardiff Motorpoint Arena today. It will be interesting to see what the lineup looks like, considering that the usual live main event with the New Age Outlaws and Sheamus versus The Shield won't be happening because of The Shield was appearing on Raw. WWE wrestler Ezekiel Jackson, a.k.a. Rykland Stevens, turned 35 years old. And he was born April 22nd, 1978. He worked a match at the WrestleMania Fight Access event this month after missing close to a year with a shoulder injury. Well, I didn't know he was even out with an injury. He's been doing his videos of weightlifting and what have you. The main event for Friday's SmackDown TV show, as I was just speaking, is Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger in a no disqualification match. WWE is also advertising Undertaker for a six-man tag, but it appears to be a dark match segment as well. Former WWE wrestler Ed Leslie, formerly known as Brutus the Barber Beefcake, celebrated his 55th birthday on Sunday. He was born April 21st, 1957. Former pro and pro wrestler and promoter Angelo Savoldi turned 99 years old on Sunday. He was born April 21st, 1914. WWE wrestler Kurt Hawkins turned 28 on Saturday. He was born April 20th, 1985. Former WWE and TNA wrestler John Hugger, who wrestled as Johnny the Bull, Johnny Stamboli, and Relic, celebrated his 36th birthday on Saturday. He was born April 20th, 1977. There are no pro wrestling shows listed for ESPN Classic on Monday night. It may not be Tuesday night. I don't have ESPN Classic on my satellite dish. I just got it installed on Saturday. Yes, if you notice, my background is back. I'm back in my house. WWE wrestler Zack Ryder posted his first Z True Island Story online show in months over the weekend, and you can view the show at youtube.com/watch V equals little s big S NOZ big X little t little n 93 big E ampersand feature equals yoututu.be. As you can tell from the video, it may not be a regular return. There's plenty of speculation where that Ryder will be turning heel based on his actions in the video. Either way, it's a creative way to get himself attention for whatever his character's next move is. WWE diva Rosa Mendez took to Twitter to comment on departing on the European tour. Just wanted to let all my Mendez lovers know that I'm okay, she wrote. I had to take care of some personal matters. Thank you for all your support. Unquote. Follow her online at twitter.com/La Rosa Mendez. And you also can follow her on Facebook. Melina Roca. WWE also issued a statement today citing personal reasons as the reason for her departure from the tour. Dark match prior to the tapings in London saw Zack Ryder defeat Heath Slater, a one-man, three-man band. Ryder reportedly got a strong reaction from the crowd. Dom Charles attended Raw tapings in London and passed the following results from London, England. London reports for Superstars, and also did Raw as well. They did a brief spoiler results for Raw as well. Number one, first match, Jimmy Uso, maybe, defeated Michael McGillicuddy. Maybe it was the other brother. And match number two, Divas Action, Layla and Caitlyn defeated Tamina and Oksana. Here's the report that day. The guy I gave us a short one because it's only half of the show. The show opened with a great segment involving Paul Heyman and Triple H. Heyman teased that Triple H wasn't here, which made his pop even louder when his music did finally hit. Match number one, R-Truth beat Antonio Cesaro, an okay pop for Truth. But I put money on this being only as a result of him wrestling in the first match on Raw. Antonio was awesome, yodeling away like a trooper. Match number two, Damien Sandow defeated Brodus Clay. Sandow got a huge pop here. A lot of the crowd always likes their heels, and tonight was no exception. Match number three, Dolph Ziggler defeated Chris Jericho. Both guys were totally over there. And when Fandango's music hit, the place went crazy. We read on the net that Triple H wasn't here, so it felt like it was teasing up all a little bit. Little did we know. Match number four, my buddy Andre had sent me some text messages on this match. He was asking me my feelings on Sweet Tea, on his character. Well, Sweet Tea defeated Cody Rhodes. Nobody liked Sweet Tea anyways. Cody's mustache, on the other hand, I think he only grew his mustache because he seen me live when he almost ran me over at one of the events at the SmackDown TV taping. He liked my mustache, so I guess he's just sort of grow him one. Match number 5, The Shield beat Undertaker, Kane, and Daniel Bryan. We had heard yes chance since we arrived at the arena, and Bryan is always so over. Here it's unreal. Taker's pop was simply huge, and the Shield's heat was pretty decent, considering everybody was passing the lobby was encouraging us to believe in the Shield. Match number 6, Fandango beat William Regal. Fandangoing was running rampant all evening, and when the man himself came out, the place went nuts. Who were they possibly going to have him wrestle here? Again, any heat whatsoever. Regal is like a wrestling god here in England. So even though we loved his theme tune, and we waited for him all night, Fandango got the heat he's been craving. AJ won a battle royal for the Divas title shot. Kind of obvious where this was going, so nobody was really surprised that AJ got the win. And that was what they said. It was the last posting on it. Comments. All in all, a great night. However, the show lacked its usual star power by hosting a SmackDown house show the same night, which resulted in man wrestlers being used again and again and again to fill up time. But like always, my brothers George, Connor, Kyle, and myself are looking forward to the return next year. Now, here's the full results by Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net. Raw on USA Network. Taped earlier today in London from the O2 Arena in London, England. Raw opened with a recap that set up the Undertaker, Kane, and Daniel Bryan versus the Shield, and recapped also John Cena and Ryback segments that concluded with the Shield attacking Cena last week. Paul Heyman stood in the ring and introduced himself and said that he was there as the advocate of Brock Lesnar. Heyman recalled Lesnar destroying 3B last week and then challenged issued to Triple H for a cage match. Heyman directed the live crowd to check out recap footage on the big screen. Meanwhile, Michael Cole, JBL, and Jerry Lawler checked in on commentary. In the ring, Heyman said that the moment has arrived for the first ballot of Hall of Famer Triple H to deliver his response to Lesnar's cage match challenge. Heyman said the only issue was that Triple H was not in the building. Heyman said he had the reputation as a liar and said he will never know how that happened. Heyman then said he has received an email from Triple H saying that he would give his response next week. Heyman recalled saying he would stand in the ring and shake Hunter's hand and tell him that he respects him. He said that, like all the fans, he was also disappointed because Triple H was too cowardly to appear. Finally, Triple H music played and he headed to the ring. Tolstoy said it was a sellout crowd of 16,603 that was in attendance. Heyman told Triple H it was well played. And Triple H pointed to his email on Heyman's phone. See right there, he asked. I lied. And I want you to go home and tell Brock Lesnar that I accept. Triple H performed the pedigree on Paul Heyman to a big pop. Tulsa hyped Dolph Ziggler versus Chris Jericho for later in the show and said it's the renewal of a great rivalry. As they go to commercial break, why does the hype for Triple H versus Lesnar matches always start with the Hunter beating up Heyman, followed by me saying I think there would be money in the WWE making viewers wait for that moment? Anyway, Triple H looks like he outsmarted Heyman, and the Triple H versus Lesnar cage match is on. I like the added hype for the Ziggler versus Jericho match. It should have started last week, along with the bigger hype for the Taker's return to the ring on Raw. A graphic noted that WWE app has been downloaded 5 million times. ProWrestling.net app available on iPhone, Android, and Amazon has not been downloaded 5 million times yet, but it should be. Do your part by downloading it free right now. Match number 1, Antonio Cesaro versus R-Truth. Truth did his full What's Up entrance. routine, and then Cole acted like a jackass by yelling, "What's up?" at ringside a few times. Cesaro yodeled on his way to the ring. The lauding crowd started singing Ole briefly. In the end, Truth caught Cesaro with a finisher and pinned him clean. Unlike the other one didn't even give him results to it. But the match only took 2 minutes 15 seconds. The helicopter was shown landing. The Shield emerged from the helicopter and then climbed into an SUV that drove off. The announcer put over their match as the biggest of their careers. Brodus Clay and his posse performed their entrance routine. Why the sudden resurgence of the one-dimensional R-Truth character? Why is Cesaro yodeling and losing? Do the Shield have their own helicopter? What's that? Was that Sting flying a chopper? No, not really. Damian Sandow and Cody Rhodes make their entrances after a break. And Damian with Cody versus Brodus Clay with Sweet Tea and Cameron Naomi. Sandow rolled up Clay and held the tights while scoring a win. In the match, Damian Sandow defeated Brodus Clay in 3 minutes 35 seconds. Highlight there, the Dolph Ziggler cashing in his Money in the Bank contract to win the World Heavyweight Championship. My apologies for the poor coverage of Sandow versus the Clay match on the broadcast, according to Mr. Powell's report. He had to make a phone call from his softball coach, who told him after the first game is Wednesday night. As I was taking the call, I was looking outside and watching the snow continue to accumulate. I was too busy laughing at the idea of playing on Wednesday to focus. I used to say that all the talk about Minnesota weather being the shits was overstated. I was wrong, at least for this godforsaken year. Softball in the middle of the spring, and you get snow. Anyway, Dolph Ziggler was shown talking about how beautiful his title belt was. AJ entered the picture and he told her to imagine how hot the Divas title would look around her waist rather than her former BFFs. After assaulting Caitlyn, they started making out. Dolph told Big E Langston to stop creeping and walk away. Vicky Guerrero and Brad Maddox entered the picture. Vicky informed Ziggler that if he loses his match later, Chris Jericho will be added to the match at Extreme Rules, which would make it a fatal four-way. And Mr. Powell says the best idea I've heard in a while came from .NET member, a recent Q&A, and it called for Langston to win the Money in the Bank contract while Dolph is champion. The dynamic would be classic. Keep an eye on how Ziggler treats him going forward, as that could be what they have in mind. A commercial featuring John Cena's Make-A-Wish was shown. It concluded with Cena asking viewers to text WISH to 80088 to donate $10 to the cause. At ringside, the announcers set up footage of CM Punk walking out last week. And Cole said no one knows what's up with Punk, but they would keep digging. A Shield promo aired with the three of them taking turns talking in a backstage area. Dean Ambrose said that for 20 years, Taker has been the judge, jury, and executioner of WWE. He questioned how they give Taker that right. Ambrose said that the Shield is the law now. Seth Rollins said that they will make a statement tonight. Ambrose said Taker will know for the first time what justice tastes like. And another mention from Mr. Powell. One of the better Shield handheld camera promos we've seen lately. I like the way they played up the theme of how they've replaced Taker as the law in WWE. Chris Jericho makes his entrance to a big pop. A graphic hides Fozzie's appearance at the garage in London on Wednesday night. Match number 3, World Heavyweight Champion Dolph Ziggler with AJ and Big E versus Chris Jericho in a non-title match. The announcer said that Ziggler had to win this match because there was no way he would retain his title in a four-way match. There were dueling chants for the two wrestlers early on. Ziggler headed to ringside and kissed AJ, but Jericho caught him with a kick through the ropes before the break. After the break, Jericho dove at Ziggler in the corner. Ziggler moved and Jericho hit his head on the post and tumbled to the floor. Jericho came back and set up for a lion thought, but AJ distracted the ref while Langston took a shot at Jericho. Ziggler covered Jericho, who kicked out of 2. Dolph applied a sleeper hold. Jericho eventually slammed onto his back to break the hold. The fans started a wave as Ziggler performed a DDT for a 2 count. WWE Production embraced the crowd's reaction by doing a widescreen shot of the wave. Jericho endorsed it in the ring before going for the Lion Salt again, only to have Ziggler put his knees up. Ziggler performed a famouser for a good near fall. Jericho knocked Dolph onto the top rope. Jericho performed a superplex on Ziggler. Jericho covered Ziggler and got a 2 count. The crowd started fandangoing. Jericho hit the code breaker and looked to the crowd before going for a cover. Ziggler put his foot on the bottom rope to break up the pinfall. Jericho went for the top rope, saying Langston was standing on the apron. Rather than perform the Lion Salt, Jericho springboarded a kick that knocked down Langston. Then Jericho put Ziggler in the walls of Jericho. Jericho released the hold and the crowd got fired up with fandangoing antics. Ziggler kicks Jericho in the knee and then caught him with a zigzag for the win. And the match took 16 minutes 45 seconds. And comment on from Mr. Powell, a really good match. Ziggler's title matches are going to be great. He's excellent with the near falls and sells so well that he's going to have the viewers on the edge of their seats when he works with the right opponent. I don't know what Jericho has planned with Fozzy this summer, but I really hope we get more of these two. Highlights aired from Monday of the Shield performing the triple powerbomb on John Cena while Ryback watched. The announcers hyped John Cena versus Ryback for the WWE Championship. The Extreme Rules Full Saw noted that the WWE Championship is 50 years old now. Backstage, Josh Matthews interviewed Mick Foley and congratulated him on the success of his new DVD. Foley said he's proud of it and did a London cheap pop bit. Foley addressed Ryback by saying it's not in man's nature to look in the mirror and blame himself. Foley said that there will be no time for excuses when Ryback faces Cena on my favorite night of the year, Extreme Rules. As they go to commercial. Match number 4, Cody Rhodes with Damien Sandow versus Sweet Tea with Brother Clay and the fucking Knoxville. T played to the crowd and got a response before doing a cannonball in the corner, and Sandow climbed onto the apron. Rhodes took care of Sandow, then Sweet Tea performed a backsplash on Cody for the win. And the match took 4 minutes 30 seconds. Tensai worked hard and is clearly doing his best to make the most of his gimmick. Right when I start to get impressed by his power moves, he goes back doing the ridiculous dancing and then it just kills it for me. Backstage, Daniel Bryan had asked Kane if he was there yet. Kane said when he is here, Bryan would know. Bryan questioned how they would go over strategy. He corrected Kane by saying it's Team Hell No and Undertaker, not the Brothers of Destruction and Dan Bryan. Warning spot. Kane and Undertaker doesn't take orders. Bryan said he had diagrams. Kane got upset and told Bryan not to try to hug Taker. Suddenly, someone attacked the duo. The camera went to the ground along with them in a chair. Black pants and shoes were shown. That's the funniest Kane and Bryan skit we've seen in months. I brought the diagrams. A graphic noted that WWE talent signed over 50,000 autographs during WrestleMania week. Footage aired of Kane and Daniel Bryan being attacked, and the announcers questioned whether Taker would have to fly solo against the Shield if Kane and Daniel Bryan can't compete. The SmackDown rebound was shown. Wow, that was a lengthy SmackDown recap video. It's about time that they treat SmackDown like it matters on Raw. Backstage segment with Josh Matthews interviewing Ryback, who complained that John Cena wasn't there for me, like I was here for him. Ryback asked Cena if he felt vulnerable, helpless, and violated when the Shield attacked him. Ryback admitted that he enjoyed it. He said some people don't understand. He said he doesn't see shortcomings. He says he sees the next WWE champion. He suggests he and Foley discuss it in a ring, then close by saying Ryback rules. Then we get Big E Langston making his in-ring entrance. As they go to commercials, Cena wasn't there for me. Vulnerable, helpless, and violated. Good Lord. Someone check on this guy's estrogen levels. Oddly enough, he sounds like Connie from Brickleberry Witty Talks now. Match number 5, Biggie Langston versus Zack Ryder. Langston dominated the match and finished off Ryder with a big ending. And the match only took a minute 45 seconds. Wow, Ryder gets double action in London. First the dark match and then the overall spot. They should have put A-Rye in there somewhere. At least to get a match in. I'll let you know a little secret. I wrote the match description before the bell rang. Langston looked impressive, and the announcers put him over, but the live crowd wasn't very responsive. It's interesting that Dolph and AJ were not at ringside for that match. The announcers hyped the 6-man tag for after the break. A recap aired of the Shield and Undertaker segment from the night after WrestleMania 29. Undertaker made his entrance. Once he entered the ring, the fans chanted his name. Many of you have seen the Taker entrance hundreds of times over the years. I don't know about you, but I definitely stopped and appreciate it a little more at this late stage in his career. The Shield then make their entrance to the crowd, then surrounded the ring. JBL said this might be the dead man's last dance. The Shield members entered the ring and quickly outnumbered Taker. Kane's music played, and then Kane and Daniel Bryan ran out to even the sides. The two teams brawled. Taker cleared Roman Reigns from the ring, and then Kane and Daniel Bryan cleared the other two. Paul said that the match was coming up next as they go to commercial. Excellent hook. Heading into a commercial break. Match number 6. Kane and Daniel Bryan. Undertaker, Kane and Daniel Bryan versus The Shield. Fans were chanting yes. As Bryan started the match with Ambrose, Kane checked in and caught Ambrose with a kick, and then worked him over with shots in the corner. JBL said he's been in the ring with the Road Warriors and the Dudleys, other great teams, yet the Brothers of Destruction are the toughest of the bunch. Taker checked in, and the Undertaker chants started firing up. Taker went to the corner for Old School as the crowd roared, but Ambrose cut him off. Taker caught him with a boot and then went to the corner and performed Old School. He stumbled a bit but recovered nicely as the crowd chanted, "You still got it!" at Taker. Max slowed down as the Shield members worked over Kane. He eventually made the hot tag to Bryan, who continued to really be over with the larger crowd. Bryan picked up the pace with his frantic offense and rapid-fire kicks on Rollins. Bryan covered Rollins for a 2 count after a series of kicks at 8 minutes in. The crowd chanted this as ultimate. At one point, Bryan performed a mystical drop kick on Rollins and then missed a running drop kick in the corner. Then they went to commercial, and after the break, the Shield isolated Bryan and took turns working him over in their corner. Bryan eventually made a hot tag to Taker, who cleaned house. He had Rollins and Ambrose by the throat when Reigns speared him out of nowhere for a 2 count. That one should have packed more of a punch since it's been a finisher of the Shield matches. Taker came back and eventually tagged in Kane, who took a big kick to the head for Rollins. Seth tagged Ambrose into the match. Ambrose went to the ropes and jumped toward Kane, who caught him and chokeslammed him. Kane tagged in Bryan, who missed a drop kick, only to be tripped up by Reigns. Taker attacked Reigns at ringside. Kane and Rollins fought. Inside the ring, Bryan went for a top rope headbutt, but Ambrose, who rolled out of the way, and then pinned Bryan to win the match for his team. The announcers marveled over the Shield's remaining undefeated. The Shield defeated Taker, Kane, and Daniel Bryan in 19 minutes 20 seconds. And another view from Mr. Powell, the reporter. Slow a couple of times, fast-paced, and fun at times, but never dull. Kane rubbed Bryan's head afterwards, and Taker looked more surprised by the loss than anything. Announcers did a good job of raving about the Shield afterwards. The match easily could have closed the show. I'm curious to see whether the segment they chose to go with was the ultimately right call. Also, I'll recap the Rock surgery tweet. Paul said Rock suffered the abdominal injury while performing the Rock Bottom on Cena. Backstage, Cena spoke with Mick Foley, who was heavily booed when he was shown on camera for the first time. Cena tried to talk Foley out of the meeting with Ryback face-to-face in the ring. Foley said Ryback said he wanted to talk face-to-face, and he tries not to back down from challenges like Ryback. Cena said he thinks Foley is making a mistake. Foley said he's had a career filled with mistakes. He said he has pride and it's his decision to make, so he asked Cena to respect it. Cena asked Foley to do him a favor. He handed him a chair and told him to take it to the ring with him. Fandango's music played and the crowd erupted with Fandangoing. Fandango was accompanied to the ring by his new dancer, making her debut, Summer Rae from NXT. The one with blonde hair. The crowd sang along as the duo entered the ring. Coleslaw said Fandango would be in action after the break. And they go to commercial. Fandango versus William Regal. Regal also received a big ovation from his hometown fans. Coleslaw said it's the only place in the world Regal gets a standing ovation. Regal mocked Fandango dancing a bit to start the match, and they picked up the Fandango again. Regal threw shots at Fandango in the corner and then played to the crowd. He walked into a kick from Fandango, who followed up with his finisher and picked up the win. The crowd sings along again with the theme song, and the match only took 1 minute and 40 seconds. After the match, Fandango's dancer did the splits and held up the mic for him. Fandango said his name. They headed up the ramp together and did their pose. Chris Jericho ran out and attacked Fandango from behind and threw him off the stage. The fans chanted Y2K. Jericho looked at Fandango's dancer and stuck out his hand. He shook his hand and then they danced together while Fandango seized on the floor. The announcers hyped the Divas Battle Royal to become the #1 contender for the main event to the Divas Championship and the Ryback and Foley confrontation. It's always a nice treat to see William Regal in the ring, even though it's only for 100 seconds of a match. I'm also happy to see the Jericho and Fandango feud is alive and well. Jericho is only a part-timer and the guy who has 2 feuds that may have my interest more than 99% of the full-timers feuds. An ad for SmackDown focus on Randy Orton. Coastal hyped Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger in a no DQ match for Friday's SmackDown TV show. Match number 8 was the Battle Royal to become the #1 contender to the Divas Championship. Caitlyn sat in on commentary. Participants were AJ Lee, Oksana, Naomi, Tamina, and Layla. Coleslaw said that the Bellas were disqualified from the Battle Royal because of using Twin Magic last week. Tamina caught AJ with a big super kick early in a cool spot. Layla caught Oksana with a kick to knock her off the apron and eliminated her from the match. Coleslaw thought Naomi was eliminated, but he corrected himself. Naomi was out next. So Coleslaw probably read ahead. Layla caught Tamina with a series of kicks and then eliminated her from the match. Caitlyn noted that they were in Layla's hometown. Caitlyn was wearing the British colors, but the live crowd didn't seem to care. AJ was still acting like she was out cold from the super kick. Layla struggled to get her to the ropes, but then AJ came to life and kicked her through the ropes to eliminate her. AJ won the Battle Royal to become the #1 contender to the Divas Championship. I would say it's interesting that Dolph and Langston didn't accompany AJ to the ring either. That would be a lie. The announcer set up a trailer for the WWE studio film, No One Lives. Mick Foley was shown walking backstage with a chair in his hand. The announcer said that his segment was up next with Ryback. Mick Foley was introduced as the first member of the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2013. He did the cheap pop routine again and eventually got the what treatment. And he said he didn't come to London looking for a confrontation, yet he found one. He said the only thing missing was Ryback. Ryback made his entrance and questioned how the chair Cena gave Foley was going to help him. Foley said he was initially insulted when Cena told him to bring the chair. He said he realizes that his days came and went a long, long time ago. Foley said that if Ryback unleashes on him, he will go down and probably won't get back up. Foley said that he had things to say and hoped that they would sink in. He asked Ryback to take a look at some footage on the screen, footage shared of the Ryback and Cena confrontation from last week, which included Ryback backing down and then watching as the Shield attacked Cena. Ryback said he knows what he did and he liked it. Hell, I loved it, he said. Foley asked what happened to the man who showed no fear and demanded respect. Ryback said Foley better be careful and what he wishes for, he might just get it. Foley said he thought about the 6 times he was left lying with no one there to help him. Foley said if Ryback has any idea how many times he's been left lying, Foley got excited and said he doesn't know because he didn't count them. He said he did the best he could, and it was good enough for him to win the WWE Championship 3 times. Foley said Ryback is destined to be the WWE Champion, and he has all the physical tools to dominate. Foley asked if Ryback really wants to become the WWE Champion by walking away from Cena's challenge or by watching the Shield attack Cena. Foley said Extreme Rules is coming up very soon and Ryback needs to wake up. Ryback told Foley to shut up. He said Foley comes out year after year and sticks his nose in other people's business. Foley tried to talk, but Ryback told him to shut up again. He questioned why Foley comes out and tries to relive his glory days. For what, Mick Foley, for what? He asked to sell more DVDs. Ryback said it's a result-oriented business, and he gets what he wants. He says he wants to be WWE Champion at Extreme Rules. He will be. So if you, Super Cena, and these stupid people have a problem with that, I don't care, he said. I don't care anymore. Ryback mocked the idea of Foley telling him how to be a man. Ryback told the crowd to shut up and then looked at Foley. There you stand holding a weapon, Ryback said. So I'm going to ask you one more time. You fat, pathetic, lazy bastard, how does John Cena giving you a chair help you standing in the ring with Ryback? Foley responded by saying, you tell me. Foley dropped the mic and held up the chair. Ryback told him to look into his eyes. Foley leaned in. Ryback took the chair away from Foley and threw it to ringside. They went nose to nose. John Cena's entrance music played and he ran to the ring. Foley ducked out to ringside. Cena removed his hat and shirt and held up his fist for a fight. And then the Shield's music played. Cena ducked through the ropes and stood on the apron while Ryback stood in the middle of the ring. As the show goes over to past the 10 o'clock hour, the 3rd hour, Cena dropped off the apron as the Shield arrived at ringside. Cena backed up the ramp and stood and watched as Ryback stood his ground. The Shield and Ryback fought. Cena returned and struck the Shield members with a chair and cleared them from the ringside area. Ryback and Cena stood in the ring together, and Cena had the chair in hand. There were dueling pro and con Cena chants. Cena dropped the chair and then approached Ryback. He picked him up and put him down with an attitude adjustment. Cena stood tall over Ryback, looked down at him and said, the champ is here. Cena left the ring as JBL said he got a little payback. Coleslaw hype. Cena versus Ryback for Extreme Rules as Ryback recovered and glared at Cena from the ring. Cena did the salute on the stage, and then the you can't see me hand gesture to close the show. I guess the Shield versus Taker, Kane and Bryan couldn't go on last because they had to show that Cena with a chair is tougher than the 3 of them. And that Cena is better than Ryback on the same night. They officially announced that the 2 will meet at Extreme Rules. Fortunately, there's still plenty of time to build up the match. Unfortunately, Ryback is still struggling on the mic. And I don't get the sense that the fans see him as a threat to win the championship that Cena won earlier this month. Overall, this was a better show than the usual flat ending. The Undertaker return and Ziggler versus Jericho were very entertaining. The London crowd was either overhyped, muted a bit in a post-production, or they did a lot of chanting during the commercial segments. This was no night after WrestleMania, but they were definitely livelier than the average crowd. Hey, there's Big E. Where's my Big E biscuit?